Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. And the journey continues today, April 2nd, 2021 at approximately 10:40 a.m. PST. Things have been hectic to say the least. However, the transformation of this office is going to be something extreme. By the time I'm done with it, and you'll be able to see this wall anyway, we will be looking into getting a webcam so we can show you the rest of the office later. At this point, I don't know when that'll happen. But what I do know is for every one of us, myself, yourselves, everybody included, today is quite literally the first day of the rest of your life. How you got to this point doesn't matter. I mean, it matters in as much as it covers the experiences you've had. But it's not a question of where you go from here that is based on the past. Where you go from here is based on the present. So we start with the simple side. What is it, from your standpoint, that you're not content with in your own life? That'll be the easiest way to look at it. Because it's easy to understand what you're not content with, whether it's a thought process you have, whether it's a physical goal you have, whether it's a skill that you have that you're missing. Okay, understand you cannot undo that which you've done. Okay, whatever brought you to where you are, that is the critical point. And the whole catch to it is realizing that you are the only one that can control you. Doesn't matter what you've been diagnosed with, doesn't matter what you've been told. Where you are right now, you're the only one that can do something about it. Now, you can certainly talk to anybody you desire, but I do suggest if you try, when you go to do something, talk to somebody that has successfully done it. Okay, now, I did not get to where I am today on my own. I had a lot of input from other people. And, reality speaking, if I'd have paid more attention to the backbone skills that I had been shown when I was a kid, I wouldn't have got into the mess I'm in. Coffee. Okay, that said, I still had to pay attention, and I still have to learn to remember how to make things work for me. Now, I've got it laid out financially, I've got it sorted out, and I've told you about the signs on the walls and what have you. Right, speaking of which, one of them fell, but that's okay. I'll be moving that shelf today anyway to get it out of the way. The whole purpose at this point is, from my standpoint, it boils down to this. On our own, we can have a life whatever we desire. But if we work together, when you work with the people around you, your co-workers, your friends, the strangers, your bloodline family, the little dog on the street, the tree that's standing in your yard, when everybody works together, we can turn this into a world that we can be happy with. There is no functional reason for the conflicts that we've got aside from fear, which is what greed is based on, fear of loss, fear of lack. Okay, now I've spent my life basically fighting to keep my head above water. At this point, I have now, in my opinion, and hopefully I'm right, but time will tell over the next few months. At this point, I've stopped the downward slide. Took me a lot of effort, a lot of work, and a lot of pains in the neck, but I have got there. Okay, and I have a definitive commitment to me, not to anybody else, just to me, to make this work. Now, the only thing, frankly, from what I've seen, the only thing anybody truly has that can never be taken away from them, you can never take, the only thing, let's try one thought at a time, what do you think? The only thing you have that nobody can ever take from you, that you're the only one that can give it, is your word. When you say you're going to do something, back it up by action, because without it, it's totally useless. People cannot take your word from you. They can take your physical belongings. They can take, I mean, they can take your life, but let's not go that far, shall we? They can take your physical belongings. They can take your sense of security. They can take everything you've got. The only thing they cannot take is your word. Okay, regardless, and all the paper in the world doesn't matter. Because if you write something down, if you write it down and say, that's my word, that paper is useless if you don't back it up. Now, I went through an awful lot of struggles where it came to finances in trying to follow through with what I had in mind. Okay, unfortunately, finances were not a real strong suit of mine. They're still not exactly strong, but I'm at a point where I'm quite comfortable. Your word is the only thing you actually have. Okay, now people can coerce you either through threat of pain or actual pain by telling you a sob story that makes you feel sorry for them or guilty for them. Right. They play with your emotions, and therefore they can coerce you into giving them your word. But they're still not taking it. It's still you that has to decide whether to give it. Okay. Now, I gave my word to me. I was going to make this run. I'm 15, I'll be 58 years old in a month. Well, month and a half. And I gave my word to me that I'm going to climb from here, from where I am right now. Never mind how I got here. Where I am right now, I'm going to climb from here up there. To that end, I've got the sign over there that says, I am worth it. The four most powerful words in my known repertoire, my remembered repertoire this lifetime, where it comes to self-esteem and self-worth. Okay, up here, I've got a sign that says, we have legally attained a minimum of $2,000 by April 30th, 2021, by 1 minute to midnight. Okay, and the sign below it, because I run my own business, Inner Voice Enterprises, I have another sign right below it that says, Inner Voice Enterprises has legally generated a minimum of $200 by April 30th of 2021 at 1 minute to midnight. Okay, now the way I came up with those two numbers, the $2,000 is what it cost me to run my house. Okay, that's to cover rent, power, utility, your utilities, your food, your insurance, all of it, including entertainment, by the way. Now, because of the way taxes here in Canada work, from what I've been told by the tax people, okay, I can charge 10% of my utilities, of my living expenses, can be attributed to my business. Therefore, the $200 is 10% of my home. Okay, that's 10% of what I require. That's where the two numbers come from. Now, I strongly recommend you do the same thing. Now, where it comes to spiritual belief patterns, okay, I follow 3 laws. Okay, and these laws, if you take a look at the commandments, the guidelines of whatever religion you're following, okay, or whatever spiritual path you're on, if you compare your guidelines to those 3, what we believe with the amount of research we've done into it, is that you will find that every one of the ones that you follow fall under those 3. If you have one that doesn't fall into those 3, absolutely drop me a line. I would love to find out, because I've looked into a lot of them. Okay. As far as how to get a hold of me, if you look at the bottom of the video, you'll see a list of different contact points. Okay, through Facebook, through email, through LinkedIn, through Twitter. I keep getting asked by some people to get involved in other ones. And in all fairness, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for the number of people that asked me to do it, to start doing this on a regular basis. Which is why, starting March 6th, which I'm wondering, just curiosity thing, what day of the month that was. Or what day of the week that was, rather. Let's just take a look on the computer. March 6th, it happened to be a Saturday. Okay. Starting on March 6th, I have been able to do one of these videos every day. And I've been putting up other videos as well. So absolutely, subscribe to our channel. There's a lot of information that comes out. Spiritual, business, self-improvement, okay, as well as off-worlders and ancient races, aka UFOs and aliens. Okay, the next thing I've got to do with that one, come to think of it, speaking of which, I am on Spaced Out Radio the first Friday of every month from 9 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Okay, which, by the way, tonight is Friday, the first Monday of April. Okay, now I've got to start looking into some of the technology that I've got schematics for here. And understand, I am not a scientist per se. I am certainly not an engineer. And when you couple that with the fact I'm also not an artist, we have a problem. I've got all kinds of things I see up here. I do write science fiction, science fantasy, depending on how you ask it. And it has been suggested that the information that I've got is made up here because it fits with my book. It's kind of funny the way it actually worked, because as it turns out, the book was being written before I had the information on the different races that I've got. Okay, so the book itself actually came before the races, which for me works out rather nicely. Now, do understand, this is a live video, meaning when I'm finished, I don't go back and edit any of it. Okay, I just don't. I cannot see the point. Well, I can see the point. Problem is, I do not have the technology or the understanding of it in this world to really do that effectively. Besides that, this is the way I am. If you run into me on the street and you're talking to me, you'll find I'm exactly the same way. Although, in all fairness, if I'm on the street, you'll find I actually don't have both hands doing this because, well, one of them's usually hanging onto a cane. Okay. Now, I mean, that's a story unto itself. But at this point, what I'm doing is renovating this whole house. Okay, getting rid of the stuff I don't need now. I was a pack rat for, well, I'm just about 58, so realistically, just about 58 years. Well, no, I guess about 50 years. I started getting rid of stuff a few years back. Okay. So the reality of it is, I've got my glitches. I am not perfect by any means. But I will tell you, like I mentioned before, if you're striving to do something effectively, talk to somebody that has successfully done it. Okay. Now, I've done things that I do not recommend you try and do. Okay, and I could go over a whole list of things, but the fact of the matter is, from your standpoint, what does matter is that I am getting rid of all the stuff that's behind me here. Eventually, this table here will be replaced with one on wheels. And eventually, it's likely going to be within the next couple of months. We're putting money aside to deal with that. Okay. And we've got money coming in. We've got a stable paycheck, so we can put money aside for it. One of the biggest tricks that I learned this time, for those of you that are trying to figure out how to get out of debt, well, one of the first things is quit borrowing money if it is at all possible. If you have to borrow money, make sure you watch the interest rates. Okay, make sure you're clear on that. Because if you aren't clear on it, it creates a problem. Okay, you will dig yourself because interest rates can kill you. I was absolutely ridiculously short-sighted. I was pressed for money. I was really badly stressed, so I wasn't thinking things through, and somebody offered me a loan. As it turned out, they offered me a loan that I could clear the debts off and only have to pay it back a piece at a time. Unfortunately, I did not understand the reality of what I was walking into. The loan itself was charging me 43%. I believe that's one step shy of Loan Shark. The sad reality is that the debts I paid off with it were only at 19%. 19 or 29, something like that. But still, I'm looking at a 15% increase to accommodate the convenience. Now, there are things I will pay for the convenience. Like, I've got a bank account, for instance. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I will tell you the few dollars that it costs me to keep that bank open, keep that bank account, as compared to switch it to something that I don't have to pay charges on. The convenience of paying it, to me, is well worth it. Because the account itself is only minimally used. That came out well. Okay, but it is where all of my money comes into. Meaning I don't have to contact the different people that send me money and go, if you're sending money, send it to this new account. I just leave it as is and we carry on. Okay, it saves me a lot of hassles. So I'm just moving forward with that. The stuff you see around me is getting cleared up and out of the way. And I mentioned this yesterday, and obviously I didn't get that far with it, because you'll notice there's 2 empty spots here. Now, I do know where they are. The blue bins that are supposed to be there are on the desk behind me. Okay, but you get your idea in mind of what you're not content with, which is why I'm getting rid of a bunch of stuff, because I no longer desire it. Okay, but the more organized you get, and this is where feng shui comes in really convenient. Now, all the books that I've seen written on feng shui, basically energy manipulation, in the home, they're written for Oriental or for Eastern philosophy, which is great for them. Feng shui itself actually is beautiful and works really well for making the energy in your house run. You can't do it the same way as they do in Japan, in China, for one reason. In those countries, the entire society is built that way. Okay, everything is built to lay out in the same fashion, at least from what I gather. In Western society, that is not the case. And of course, in my case, it's more complicated from this point. I have no concept of whether whether I'm facing north, south, east, or west. The fact light comes in there does tell me that's somewhat to the east. But do I really pay much attention to it? No. It doesn't work well for me. Okay, so you get things working for you. But the more organized you are, the easier you'll find your life runs. Don't take my word for it. Give it a shot. Take one room and organize it a little more. Now, I know for an absolute certainty that the blind community thrives on organizing things and having it all sit in a nice, comfortable place. Makes it easier to maneuver if you don't have to keep looking around for things that you can't see in the first place. Okay, ironically, they've got the right idea. Set your life up so that it runs the way you desire it to, so you can find things easily. It cuts down on your stress, and stress is, just take my word for this one, don't go there. If you don't bring your stress down and your stress climbs too high, I'm not a medical doctor, but I will tell you it contributed directly to the stroke I had. Okay, now, that said, am I recovering? Yeah, for the most part. I mean, my left hand, this little thing here, does not have the reaction time it used to. I used to be able to write with my left hand, mirror image, quite nicely. Now I can barely control the thing, so I'm working on that. That's one of those funny little goals that I've got, but I'm the only one that can do it. I'm the only one that can actually take that goal and make it happen. Okay. I have managed to get myself to where I'm content. Took me a little more money than I was planning on, but now that it's there, it's going to be one step at a time to move forward and watch things grow. Okay, and that is ultimately what I'm aiming for. Okay, now, I've mentioned this before. Okay, I've got all these little projects on the go, and somewhere around here, there we are. this funny little notepad. I keep this handy because I keep going through it to get things cleared up and out of the way. Okay, to make sure I stay on track. And the reality is, if you stay on top of things, my dad used to say all the time, you know, if you take care of the pennies, the dollars will take care of themselves. If you move things one piece at a time, you know, one shovelful at a time will move a mountain. Okay, if you're sitting in your house, you're going, I desire my life to change, but I don't know where to begin. Well, where to begin is right where you're sitting, right this second. Okay, absolute critical factor. That's where you start. Okay, where you go depends on where you choose, but while you're sitting right there, pick 3 things that you can tell from where you're sitting that you require or that you desire to change. Now, you'll notice I trip over a number of words, and I'll come back and reiterate them, such as when you need something, and I'll change that to when you require it. Well, here's the reason. If you take a look at my prior videos, and if you subscribe to my channel, you get free access to all of them. Look up a subset called language. Okay, I know I've got can't. I know is already done. And let's just take a quick peek at that and see if we can give you a couple other ones that are already done. And all I got to do is go to this little icon here. And what do we got for language? Okay. You know, when you take a look at it and you go back through the videos, of course, I'm trying to find something. I should be able to find it in a hurry, but me and computers have never gotten along well. There we go. Some of the words that I've already discussed are the words impossible, if, can't, and try. Now, there are 5 other videos that I will be doing on those as well. Need. I don't think I've got need in there. Oh, look at that. I do have want done. Okay. Need is one very similar to want, but I will be doing a video on need, on always, on never. These words in any language are self-debilitating. Okay, they are words that absolutely, what they do is they literally will hold you back from attaining that which you can attain. And you know, the reality is there is only one difference between a pauper and a millionaire. Okay, that one difference is, and this sounds odd, there's technically 2 differences. One is obviously the amount of money they've got, but the other is the belief that most millionaires have that they deserve to have that money, that they are worth that kind of money. Society has evolved, or devolved, in my opinion, to the point where people that don't have money, many people that do, look down on them and go, oh, you're not worth it. And then they do one of 2 things. They either ignore you, or they offer to buy you, as in, I'll give you this, I'll get you that so you can feel better. Well, my father told us a story one day, and it boiled down to this. If you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach a man to fish, you feed him for life. Okay, so what my goal is with these videos is to teach you things that you may have overlooked. And I encourage you, if you see something that I'm not connecting with, absolutely drop me a line. Give us a thumbs up on the video, drop me a line, and let me know if I've overlooked something or if I have said it in a way that doesn't add up. One of the reasons I repeat myself is because, well, frankly, I forget what I tell people. Yes, I know that sounds really bad, but it is actually true. And before you jump on that, no, medically I'm fine from that end. At least that's what the doctors say. But get things organized in your own head. Today, I've got a number of things that I've got to deal with. And part of that is getting the stuff off of that table so that when you see it tomorrow, my intention is to have 90% of the stuff on that table gone and back where it belongs. Okay, that is actually one of my goals here. That is sitting on there that I've got on this list. It's actually already on the list. I've got that listed as my work table because, amazingly enough, that's where I work. Okay, when I get finished this, you won't be able to see it unless I manage to get a webcam, like a portable one that I can show you around. But I will end up replacing all this stuff in here with a set of desks so that I've got the room to work. Again, the more organized you are, the happier, the less stressful things are going to be. Don't take my word for it. Okay, give it a shot, see what happens. Experience it yourself. Now, we do try and we do successfully keep these things to half an hour for a lot of reasons. But we will be back tomorrow morning. Okay, tomorrow, well, I don't know if it'll be morning. We'll be back tomorrow. Okay, until we talk again, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.